This kind of passive-aggressive attitude, embedded in the collective imagination of gold. This kind of passive-aggressive attitude, embedded in the collective imagination of gold.
An ignorance militant, aggressive, not to be intimidated.
An ignorance that is active, dynamic, that refuses to go quietly.
Not at all confined to the illiterate and uneducated,
but propagated at the highest levels of the land.
Indeed presenting itself unblushingly as knowledge.
As knowledge.
We were very much looking forward to meet you in Zurich. You both, Christian and Yvonne, for the Zürcher Theaterspektakel.
Yeah, we should have met already this summer.
Yes.
We would have met already at the spectacle. This was the plan, I think, that our project somehow come together.
In a parallel world that was happening.
And we were very much looking forward to meet you because the work you're doing, particularly this work around gold, but connecting Switzerland in such a subtle and deep and refined connection, we were really, really very much looking forward to have to know more, about your work.
Our question was, how does this change the mentality of a country if you are after something since centuries, and on the other hand you don't want to show it or to talk about it. This must change your body somehow. So we become also interested in the relationship of the material and the bodies. These bodies who lives in this country, and this includes also us. What does the body know about gold? What does my body know, Yvonne's body? And therefore we developed, our project was then at the end, after long of 2 years research and speaking with all kind of people who already did research, to develop a kind of psychic refinery of gold, and refining the bodies to be ready to speak about all dimensions of gold, and to speak also about the FARC guerrilla and the narco traffic in Colombia, and about the mercury which is brought from Switzerland to Colombia, and to speak about racial violence.
And how are you dealing with that situation that we as artists, we want to raise some question about politics, economic, ecological problems, but we are still in a kind of a situation where we have connection mostly also to people of the same living conditions and the same class and the same status as us.
This is always has been for us a very complex question, how you relate to these places and to the people you meet when you want to find out, if not answers, at least more complex reflections on these questions that we are making ourselves. At the beginning, it is always very difficult, ethically very difficult, to know where to stand and how to really meet people in a horizontal level, and with questions that are not just benefiting your projects.
And I would like to say something. It's not just the relationship with the people. It's also the relationship with the places, with the environment, And I guess
Yeah.
it's also trying to be part of something bigger than us as humans.
Due to the attraction and obsession the isolated people have with screws and nuts, they constantly dismantle engines found in abandoned cocaine labs in the jungle, or in the machinery left behind by illegal gold extraction. They take apart what is left of falling light planes and their communication systems. Only to take all the screws and nuts they can find.
For this project, we met a man, a very interesting guy, in the flea market where he was selling small objects, reproductions, fake objects of gold, but at the same time, this guy, now almost 80 years old, started to tell us a lot of stories about the time he was just searching for the national treasures of gold in different parts of the land in Colombia, in the in the ancient cemeteries, indigenous cemeteries, where he took out all these objects. So with this man, we started a very strong dialogue and a very close relationship, full of what we call the affects of this encounter. And from these affects, we made all these what we call ethnofiction with the subject of the isolated communities in the Amazon area.
And in the other hand, I would like to say that these indigenous people, these isolated communities, they're isolated because they, at some point, had some contacts with Occidental conquistadors, either Portuguese or Spanish people, and they decide to be out of those systems and go very, very inside of the Amazon. So I think it was quite interesting for us try to think in how to talk about someone that don't want to be seen and don't want to make contact to us.
I liked it very much for your video that you have this long time to look at the men who prepare and all this fetishizing of the material, and it takes time that you go in. It's a kind of a meditation. And what we made with our short video on psychotropic gold, it's also a kind of addressing the perception, but in the opposite, with very overwhelming rhythm and artificial objects, and it's the same. It's to addressing the way of reception and to make sensitive for that position, that it's not only to telling, it's not only the word who can explain, it's also to address the psychic and also the brain perception with the topic.
the communities are generally at the mercy of the government and of the discretion of multinational companies to whom the government granted the right to pursue extractive activity in and around the land that the communities generally consider their own.
Went on and on and on and on like this for a while.
Yeah, it's quite, to me, it's quite interesting how this kind of shapeless object brings the possibility to introduce the body into your work. And it's, it's kind of a network, it's kind of a rhizoma, it's kind of a mycelium. It's something that the nature, the environment bring us in order to rethink us as a body, as a collective, as a small community. And I found this quite interesting. And also makes me think in how this relationship, it's the only thing that has the power to put us in such environment you're exploring.
Yeah, and as you said, the world is mad, and we must defend also our right to be mad as artists and to be crazy, and in order not to become real mad. Yeah, so therefore we must defend our potential to be across the logics, to always to become straighter and more professional and faster, and but really to defend, to be slow and to hesitate and to tell very crazy stories which are very complicated, which nobody can understand. So I think this is at least we are trying to fight for.
Yeah, and you say something that it's quite important to me, and it's productivity. We need to fight productivity. We need to find out other ways to be in the world. Yes. And do things that they're not, maybe don't need to be useful, but they're quite important, not only to us as artists, but for the people in general. We need to nourish our souls with art. And it's not related to productivity. And that's quite important to remind when we're working with technology, for example, because technology is so close to productivity. And the idea to took the technology and use it for something that it's nothing, it makes a lot of sense to me.